It started like any other family vacation announcement. My parents gathered all of us around the kitchen table, acting like it was the happiest moment of the year. "We're going to Maui," Mom said, her eyes sparkling as if the sun itself had decided to bless their plans. Everyone cheered except me. I forced a smile because, well, family vacations sounded great in theory. What I didn't know was that this trip was already off limits for me. You see, when Mom and Dad said, "There's no room for you," it didn't exactly come with a warm hug or a gentle explanation. It was more like a dismissive wave, followed by that awkward silence you get when someone drops a bomb and walks away like nothing happened. "We just can't fit you in this year, Nicole. Maybe next time." I stared at them, mouth slightly open, as if I had just heard they were planning to auction off my childhood memories to the highest bidder. The truth? They'd booked a private villa and a private jet, two luxuries my parents could afford when they weren't shelling out money for my expensive hobbies. And according to them, my hobbies didn't include sunbathing on golden beaches or sipping cocktails by the infinity pool. So no room for Nicole. I wanted to laugh in their faces. Actually, scratch that. I wanted to scream. But instead, I did what I always do when life hands me lemons. I made sure those lemons were in my private cocktail glass. The funny thing is, I wasn't even that shocked. The last few years had been a series of little exclusions, a birthday here, a holiday there, always some excuse about budget or just too many people. My brother, Jake, the golden child, always had the first seat at the table, the best presents, and the loudest cheers. Me? I was the shadow, the afterthought, the person who could quietly disappear and nobody would bat an eye. But this time it was different. This time, I decided to rewrite the story. The moment Mom told me there was no room, I went straight to my laptop. The same parents who loved to flaunt their wealth had no idea I'd been quietly building my own little empire online. My side hustle, an e-commerce business I started in college, had finally taken off. Enough to fund a little getaway of my own. A big getaway. 2 days later, while my family was busy packing their overpriced luggage and obsessing over who got which seat on the jet, I booked something they hadn't even dreamed of. My own private jet. Not some cramped commercial flight where you have to beg for extra legroom or pretend the crying baby isn't ruining your day. No, I booked a private jet flying to Maui too. The same island, the same dates. I wasn't just going to Maui. I was going there in style. Alone. At first, I wasn't even sure if I should tell them. Maybe just show up on the island and let them wonder how the hell I pulled it off. But the silence felt too good to keep. So I texted my mom. "Just booked a private jet to Maui. See you there." Her reply came quicker than I expected. "Nicole, that's ridiculous. You don't need to make a scene." I smiled. Scene? This was a statement. A headline. A plot twist they didn't see coming. For years, I'd been the one left out, the one forgotten. This time, I was the one with the last laugh. While they were crammed on their jet, probably fighting over seatbelts and pretzels, I was about to arrive in Maui, refreshed, confident, and completely unbothered. I spent the days leading up to the flight planning every detail. The hotel I booked wasn't just fancy. It was exclusive. The kind of place where the staff knows your name, and the ocean views come with a side of envy. I even arranged a little surprise for my family, just for fun. The night before the flight, I packed a bag full of things I never thought I'd own. Designer sunglasses, silk dresses, and a bottle of champagne with a note that read, "Cheers to being left out." I was nervous, of course. This wasn't just a vacation. It was my chance to reclaim a part of my life that had been stolen by indifference and family drama. Would they be surprised? Jealous? Embarrassed? All I knew was that I wasn't going to be the girl waiting for an invitation anymore. On the morning of the flight, I woke up early and headed to the private terminal. The pilot greeted me with a knowing smile. "Ready for takeoff, Nicole?" "Absolutely," I said, trying not to grin like a kid on Christmas morning. As we lifted off, I thought about my family back home, the looks on their faces when they got the news. The smug smiles. The whispered conversations about how Nicole thinks she's better than us now. Little did they know, this wasn't about being better. It was about being seen. The jet soared through the clouds, the sun rising just right outside my window. For the first time in years, I felt free. Free from expectations, free from the feeling of not belonging. This trip was mine. I had no idea what awaited me on the island, but one thing was certain. I was done being the family's forgotten suitcase. This vacation wasn't just a trip, it was my moment. And trust me, the best is yet to come. Landing in Maui felt like stepping into a dream I didn't know I was allowed to have. The warm breeze hit my face as I stepped off the jet, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the shadow fading into the background. I was the headline, the VIP, the one who belonged here. I checked into the resort, one of those places where the concierge knows your favorite drink before you even ask, and the beds feel like clouds. As I walked through the lobby, I couldn't help but smirk. Somewhere out there, my family was probably trying to squeeze into a tiny villa, fighting over beach towels and arguing about who forgot the sunscreen. Meanwhile, I had a whole ocean view suite with a private infinity pool. But the best part wasn't the luxury. It was the plan. I wasn't just here to soak up the sun and sip cocktails, though I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a nice bonus. I had a little surprise up my sleeve for my family, and it was going to be delicious. I spent the first day lounging by the pool, letting the waves of the Pacific wash away the sting of years of neglect. I thought about all those times I'd been told I wasn't important enough to be included. The birthdays I missed, the holidays I was conveniently forgotten on, and now this no-room excuse. All of it felt petty small. But I was bigger now. Smarter. And I had something they didn't, independence. By the second day, I was ready to make my move. I booked a dinner reservation at the island's most exclusive restaurant, a place my family could only dream of getting into without a months-long wait. And guess who else I invited? The entire family vacation group. Oh, they didn't know it yet. They thought this was just another normal trip. The kind where they could pat themselves on the back for the perfect family getaway. But this dinner? It was about to rewrite the script. I sent the invite casually, no explanations, just the time and place. The texts started coming in immediately. Confused, curious, a little defensive. "Why would you invite us?" my sister asked. "This isn't a family dinner." I let the suspense simmer. "Just come and find out," I replied. That night, I arrived early, dressed to the nines, feeling more powerful than ever. As the guests trickled in, I noticed their faces shift from smug certainty to awkward confusion. My brother Jake gave me a glare so icy I half expected to see frost. Mom and Dad tried to look surprised but failed miserably. They knew I was up to something. I waited until everyone was seated before I stood up with my glass raised. "Thank you all for coming," I began, voice calm but dripping with sarcasm. "I know some of you thought I wouldn't be here, that there wasn't room for me on this vacation. And you know what? You were right. There wasn't room for me on your plane, in your villa, or in your plans. So I made my own." I paused for effect, watching the discomfort ripple through the room like a wave. While you were busy booking a shared jet and arguing over beach chairs, I booked my own private jet, a suite with a view, and this dinner. On my dime. The silence was deafening. "You see," I continued, "this isn't just about a vacation. It's about respect. It's about showing up for the people you claim to love." I didn't wait for an invitation or a sign that I was welcome. I created my own space. Jake scoffed. "You think money fixes everything?" "No," I said, smiling, "but it sure helps you see who really matters." The waiter brought out champagne glasses, and I handed one to each family member. "Here's to family, to growth, and to finally acknowledging that I'm here to stay." There was a lot of muttering and shifting in their seats, but I could tell the message hit home. Later, as the night went on, I noticed something else. My family was talking to me. Really talking. Not the dismissive half-listens or the sarcastic remarks. For once, they were curious. Maybe even a little impressed. I could feel the power dynamic shifting like tectonic plates under the ocean. By the end of the evening, the old Nicole, the one who'd let them exclude her without a fight, was gone. This was a new chapter. One where I took control. Where I stopped waiting for crumbs and started dining at the main table. I left the restaurant that night knowing that the vacation had already been won. They might have had the villa, the jet, and the family title, but I had something much rarer. My own voice, my own space, and the kind of confidence that no amount of money could buy. As I walked back to my suite, the Maui stars twinkling above, I thought about what tomorrow would bring. Would they come to me? Would they try to patch things up? Or would they keep pretending I didn't exist? Whatever they chose, I was ready. Because this time, Nicole wasn't just showing up. Nicole was taking over. The next morning, Maui woke up bright and beautiful. The kind of day that makes you want to believe in second chances. But I wasn't here for fairy tales. I was here for closure. And maybe a little revenge. Word about the dinner spread faster than I expected. By mid-morning, my phone was buzzing nonstop with texts from family members who couldn't quite figure out what to make of me showing up like a storm. Some were angry. Others were embarrassed. A few, surprisingly, sounded almost apologetic. But my favorite message came from my brother, Jake. Just 3 words. "You're unbelievable, Nicole." I smiled so hard I might have scared the hotel staff. Unbelievable? I prefer unforgettable. Still, the best was yet to come. That afternoon, I decided to take a stroll on the beach. Maui's waves were calm, but my mind was anything but. I thought about all those years of being the forgotten daughter, the one told there was no room. No room in their car, no room in their plans, no room in their hearts. I realized something: they weren't just excluding me. They were scared of me. Scared of what I might become if I ever stopped playing by their rules. And now I had. As I walked along the shore, my phone rang. It was Mom. Her voice was shaky, almost hesitant. "Nicole, can we talk? We need to clear the air." I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. The chance to face the people who tried to erase me. "Sure," I said, my tone calm but firm. "Meet me at the resort lobby in an hour." When they arrived, Mom, Dad, and Jake looked less like the untouchable family and more like a group realizing they'd underestimated me. They shuffled their feet, avoiding eye contact, and for once, I felt like the one holding all the cards. Mom started, "Nicole, we didn't mean to hurt you. We just thought that there was no room for me." I interrupted. "Funny how there was plenty of room for everything else." Dad cleared his throat. "It was never about you. We just wanted a simple trip." "Simple?" "Leaving me out was simple," I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Or convenient?" Jake looked guilty but said nothing. I let the silence hang for a moment before delivering the final blow. "You know, I didn't come here to beg for a spot on your jet or a bed in your villa. I came here to show you what happens when you underestimate someone." Their faces went pale. Not because I was angry, but because they realized I was no longer the little girl they could push aside. I continued, "I have my own life, my own success, and my own space in this world. And if you ever try to tell me there's no room again, I'll remind you who's really flying the plane." They looked at me, shocked, humbled, maybe even a little proud. It was a strange mix, but I welcomed it. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with fire and gold, I sat by my private pool, a glass of champagne in hand. I thought about how this vacation, which was supposed to be a painful reminder of my exclusion, had turned into my greatest victory. I didn't just take the private jet. I took back my dignity. I took back my voice. And most importantly, I took control of my story. As the stars came out one by one, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so high that the people who doubted you can only watch in awe. And trust me, I was flying higher than any of them could ever imagine.